President Bush plans to reward China's leaders despite human rights questions. A new plan to cap medical malpractice awards and cut soaring medical costs. Also, new statistics on AIDS. AZT can double life expectancy. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. President Bush made it clear today he does want to extend most favored nation trade advantages to China for yet another year. This despite continuing human rights abuses by the hardline Chinese communist leadership. Susan Spencer has the story from the White House. Susan, good evening.
Good evening, Dan. China is among the nations given special trading privileges that let its goods into this country at low tariff rates. By saying today that he wants to continue that, President Bush may be taking on a Congress less willing to overlook China's appalling human rights record. In the 2 years since the crushing of the democracy demonstrations and the bloodbath in Tiananmen Square, the Chinese leaders have not relented.
The Chinese behavior has been abominable on almost every count. Instead of showing any improvement, if anything, the Chinese government has regressed since last year.
Pro-democracy demonstrators still languish in jail. Prison labor reportedly is being used to make cheap items for export. In addition, there is ominous new evidence that Chinese leaders are illegally peddling missiles and nuclear technology in the Middle East. So why give the Chinese a break on trade?
I look at the big picture. I look at the support we got from China in Desert Storm. I look at the importance of China as a country, and I think I don't want to see us isolate them. I do want to see them come forward more on some of the things that we've been asking them to do.
Business agrees.
What we have to do is say, we want to preserve the relationship as it is, work with this regime to the extent we can work with them, and if we can't work with them, then just wait them out, because they're not going to be in power for very long anyway.
But many in Congress aren't buying it and say they have the votes to make trading privileges conditional on improvements in human rights.
China will have to learn that to do trade with the United States will mean not just equality in the trade field, but a recognition of human rights, an end to slave labor.
The president's statement today is bound to renew criticism that as a one-time envoy to China, he's far too willing to give his old friends the benefit of the doubt.
I don't think we have been as strong versus China as we have everywhere else in the world, including Europe, Africa, Latin America. So let's drop the double standard that I think we see.
Mr. Bush has until June 3rd to make his final formal recommendation to Congress, but he may not want to wait until that deadline. The night of June 3rd, 1989, was the night of Tiananmen Square. Dan?
Susan Spencer, thanks. Breaking story in the Middle East. Secretary of State Baker talked for 6 hours with Israeli Prime Minister Shamir today, trying to keep President Bush's Middle East peace initiative alive, and there's signs the Israelis are showing some flexibility and a willingness to compromise. CBS News correspondent Bob Simon is covering the story in Jerusalem. Bob, what's the latest?
Dan, just when things were looking bleakest, there are signs that Baker's peace effort may not end in failure, at least not yet. Baker will meet with Shamir again tomorrow morning. They hope to emerge from that meeting with an agreement on terms for a peace conference that would put Arabs and Israelis face to face, although there's clearly still a long, long way to go before any such meeting is gaveled to order. The main Israeli concern this week has been to avoid getting blamed for an American failure. That's why Shamir showed some flexibility on procedural questions. What the Israelis need more than anything else right now is $10 billion worth of American loan guarantees so that they can continue to absorb the thousands of Soviet immigrants who continue to arrive here every week. They need to stay in America's good graces. Dan?
Bob, what's the catch?
Dan, the Jordanians still have to sign off on this. That's one sticking point.